Stop letting society tell you about the best skincare routines, the hottest plastic surgeons, or the cream that will keep your skin from aging. It's time we start asking ourselves, what the fuck is beauty anyway? If we remove all the IG filters, is there more to a beautiful face than just skincare? Well, I'm here to share it with you, and hell yeah, there is. My name is Jen Carrasco. I have been an esthetician, as well as a high-level fitness competitor, and an all-around badass for over a decade. And I need you to know there is way more to keeping your mind and body clean than just a cream. Join me each week as I cut the BS out of getting healthy, caring for ourselves, and caring for our skin. I share real tips, real ingredients, and real experience. Now let's get some answers on what the fuck is beauty anyway. What is up, guys? It's Jen here.
And Michelle.
I have a new microphone.
And it's quite large.
I didn't know it was that large.
It's very, very big.
Well, you know what? You go big or you go home.
That's right, baby.
So we were talking this week. I got a message from Michelle and said, I really think we should talk about this because we've been talking a little bit off subject. I think maybe the last couple. Well, I shouldn't say that because I've been doing some really good ones on like men's skincare. Mm-hmm. But I think just diving in a little bit deeper, Michelle brought it to my attention that maybe we need to dive in deeper with some certain things because the sun's coming out, it's going to be hot and people are going to be outside and they're going to be naked.
Well, it is. It's definitely, the weather has taken a turn. It's hot. It's been gone from 56
really
degrees
hot
up into 90. So, and I noticed there's a lot more people with their shorts on and their tank tops on, which means a lot more skin exposure. So it just made me kind of think maybe we should touch base with people and their skin because some people get acne on their shoulders and on their back.
Well, especially I think working out right now because we're like, we can't work out at the gym. So we have to go outside and work out or we have to do some sort of cardio and sweat and everything else with the heat and being out there. And unfortunately, acne and sweat and sun kind of go hand in hand. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, sometimes there's no way around it. It just depends. So.
But there's other factors too.
There is. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think
absolutely.
Kind of from tap your brain a little bit more about other causes other than the sun and the sweat that we're doing that can really trigger things on our shoulders or on our back, especially for women. I know a lot of them get the acne around their bra lines, which I would assume is from sweating, but there's upper back stuff and then sometimes even your neck.
Yeah. So let's just talk about the sweat acne first or the blackheads and everything like that. So because, just like, your daughter, she rides horses and, she gets acne definitely like where the helmet is and certain things like that. And it's normal. It's just the friction and it's the sweat and it's that oil kind of has nowhere to go and it's getting blocked. And I'm not an advocate to exfoliate constantly because if you exfoliate constantly, of course, then, you're stripping your skin and then you're making it more sun prone and everything else. But I also think that if you're not properly taking care of your skin with good products and doing things and exfoliating those areas or cleaning those areas right afterwards, like versus like I just got done sweating and I have a sports bra and I can feel it. When it's constricted and it's that sweat, it has nowhere to go. So it's like forced to go into the skin and start that bacteria. And if you already are not very good at cleanliness of your skin, it's only going to just exacerbate it even more. So like bra lines, backpack lines, helmets, and now, of course, nowadays we have face masks. So face mask will contribute to it. And a lot of times too, it could just be the friction and the irritation that irritates the skin. So my biggest thing to tell people is when you're done working out, I'm not big on wipes, but if you have to get wipes, get wipes. I'm not big on them because I think they have a lot of harsh ingredients that are in the wipes that aren't the greatest for your skin. But you definitely want something that's going to be more of an antibacterial just to kind of clean that area. So then that way you clean the bacteria off of it.
Right.
Definitely, I always say, if you're going to be working out, don't wear makeup. it's really a hindrance to your skin, because if you're sweating, your pores are open and they're absorbing it all. And unfortunately, it's just like sunscreen. So a lot of us lather up the sunscreen because we're going outside and we're sweating and we break out afterwards. Well, it's just what it is. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. It's the sunscreen is like a block on your skin, and it's like a shield over. So the minute your pores open up and you're sweating, that product is getting penetrated into the skin tissues. So you just want to be careful. So, there's a lot of good sunscreens that are out there that are really good for the skin. I know that we have one with the women's and the men's line that have the UVA and the UVB, and it's only made from mineral. So it's not a chemical based product. So you don't have the chemicals getting into the skin. I'm not saying it's not going to break you out if you're really sweating, but at least it's better off than a chemical based. And a lot of people don't know as well is that a sunscreen can go only over a certain level. And then when you get into the higher level, like say you want to get a 50 or 100% sunscreen or proof or whatever they have, it's not that it doesn't go over like a 25. It just means that there's way more chemicals in it, that it sticks to your skin longer. So that's something to really think about, like if you're out in the sun. So it might be worth getting a really good quality sunscreen for your face, neck, and chest, and use another one on your body. But if you're prone to break out, then maybe you're going to have to get a better sunscreen that is a little bit more expensive in those areas. It is what it is.
Pick your poison there, I guess.
And that's what it is, it's a chemical. Everything's a chemical, and it's made, and it's natural. Some are natural and some are full with chemicals to block. So it's just about you doing your research and being educated.
So by having the makeup on when you're working out, is that just creating, like you said, same thing as a sunscreen, just blocking your skin from like breathing? So it's trapping it in there.
So what happens is if you're not wearing good makeup, and that's the thing that I think a lot of girls are finding out right now, because we're all quarantined. So we're not wearing makeup. We're not doing shit to our faces, right? And so a lot of my clients are calling me, doing virtuals. And they're saying, wow, my skin's doing really, really good. I'm like, so you're not wearing makeup, right? Well, no. Well, it's because nowadays women want that like flawless finish, and it's almost gotten to the point to where I feel like it's a cakey finish on people's face. And to each their own. I mean, if you want to look like that, that's great. Nothing against you. I'm very natural. And so what happens is when you're using that makeup, even a natural makeup, for instance, like a natural base usually doesn't have a lot of chemicals in it, but the thicker you get and the more base you get are going to have more stuff in the product, and your skin absorbs that no matter what you do. And that's even on a daily basis. But a lot of these women use a lot of product like the Tarte, or I don't know.
CoverGirl.
Yeah, like there's thousands of them out there. And what happens is that makeup actually has like fillers in there. It has talc in there. I mean, it has actually not the greatest ingredients in there to get you that coverage. And your pores are soaking that up and eating that up. So a lot of times when you're dealing with acne, it's really because you're doing it yourself. It's really what you're using. And a lot of times too is I find acne in the blush area. And people don't understand is when you're using a blush is usually it has like a pink or a red dye in there, right? A lot of people are allergic to pink and red dyes. And so a lot of times your skin's like absorbing shit that it doesn't want to, and it's freaking out and you break out. So my biggest thing to tell people is, I love Jane Iredale makeup. I love it. I carry Osmosis too, and I love Osmosis, but sometimes when you have a liquid, it does have a little bit more in it, but the Jane is really simple. It's just a powder. But what I do is I usually tend to get like a shade darker than my tone, and I use that as my blush. So then that way I'm not dealing with any of the reds or the pinks or any of that. It's more of like a bronzer you think of.
That's smart.
So that's what I tend to do. Or I tend to go more on like the pinky tone of a darker, just to get that extra. So then we don't get those breakouts. And again, wash your brushes, at least once a week, wash your brushes. And I know there's conditioners out there to condition the brushes, which I think is great because it is hair, but you want to be careful too, because a conditioner can
It's like chemicals too.
It's chemicals, but it can also like, you get that on your face, you know?
Yeah.
So
don't rinse it off good enough.
I mean, that's my shindig about makeup. I really try to get people to get off of that stuff and on natural. It's just hard because when they're dealing with acne, they don't want to go off of it because they're not getting that coverage that they're used to. And the thing is that, well, you're just going to have to deal with that for like 3 or 4 weeks until your skin starts to heal up, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, this is the time to do it.
This is the time to do it. So if you want to stop the makeup, I thoroughly encourage you to do that. But check out Jane Iredale. I love them. And it's not that you have to buy them from me. You can buy it online. You know, I'm not advocating my business, but you can buy it online. And it's truly, I like the powders. They do have like, oh, what are they that you put on before your powder?
Primer?
Yeah, they have the primers, and the primers are great. But always think too, the more shit you put on the face,
more you're clogging it up.
The more you're clogging it up. So, I mean, that's why I'm not even one for real moisturizers. You know, I think a lot of them just clog your skin up, depending if you're dry or oily, you know.
Right.
I think least is the best for our skin. So that's my rundown on those type of acne, because I feel like that acne you can manage. That acne is totally under your control. So
well, let's move around the body then. So let's hit do you want to do the chest or the back or?
Sure.
Both.
So let's talk about acne in general first. So acne, our body or our skin is the largest organ. Okay. So whenever something's happening internally in our body, it's going to come out through our pores because that's the way to detox our body. And it could be a form of a rash. It could be a form of, you know, athlete's foot. It could be a form of a yeast infection. It could be a form of yeast in your body. It could be that you just get severe acne in certain areas. And they're all kind of triggered. Now, people out there are going to say, oh, Jen, you're just full of shit. That's just a hoax. But honestly, it's been around for ages, and it's been, you know, Chinese medicine. It's been wives' tales. And the more research we're doing, it's coming into fruition that it's actually true.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I have several clients that have really bad melasma spots on their face. And if you don't know what melasma is like hyperpigmentation, but it's like a mask. And they call it the pregnancy mask. And it comes on with hormones. But that can go in and out depending on your hormones. But so it's a hormone-based pigmentation. But people don't understand is that if that melasma is sitting there for like 3 years and you really don't have a hormone imbalance and it's been there for a long period of time, you need to check your liver. It's called liver spots. Don't you remember that wives' tale? It's the reason why. It's because it comes from your liver. And most of my clients that have had spots that don't go away for years will go get their liver checked and their liver enzymes are high. But the doctors can't figure out why their liver enzymes are high. So that's what makes it to where nowadays, I'm sure everybody feels like this right now, is we all have to do our own research. We all have to figure out what's going on within our own bodies. So if your liver enzymes are high, do your research, because that's not good longevity down the road. Mm-hmm. So that's breaking your body down. So that's my little shindig.
So now we know what acne is. Let's talk about what it means on different parts of the body.
Okay. So let's go over, since we just went over the body, let's see, I'm going to go into the chest area. So the chest area, now, a lot of times people get like and it's not that if you have 1 or 2, you have an issue. So don't look at it like that, because our body, it's natural. I mean, we're going to get clogged up. We're going to get breakouts during our period. It's totally normal. Now I'm talking about issues that you have, you know, quite a bit of blackheads, or you have like severe acne and it's just on the chest area. Okay. And it's not that I'm a doctor, so I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I feel that you need to do your research and check it out. A lot of times when you're getting chest breakouts, you need to check out what type it is. So if you're getting more of the blackheads, you probably are getting more, you need to do more of a mucus detox. So it probably means that you have a lot of candida in your system. Blackheads in general mean that you have more candida and more mucus in your system.
And candida is more mostly yeast, right? So that's
it's a yeast. Okay. And a lot of people have it because it's just in our diet. It's in our food.
Right. So it's really sugars, carbs.
Sugary carbohydrates, processed foods. Right. You can even get it in white rice, white potatoes. I mean, it's even if you eat clean, you need to be careful because it spikes your insulin levels too. So when you have that and you're eating a rich or a high carbohydrate diet, it's only feeding that yeast. So right now I'm going through a yeast cleanse. And I'm telling you, it's not fun. I've had massive headaches. I've had depression. I had stomach cramps. And these are the things that people don't realize, that this stuff in our body, what it does to us. Like, it can actually alternate your mood. I mean, they talk about your health, your flora, and your gut. I mean, that's your brain. Right. And it can really fuck up your whole system, if it's not targeted correctly. So usually mucus detox of the lungs. Okay. So your chest area is more of a lung issue. So maybe you have more phlegm in your system. Maybe you realize like your allergies are higher and you have more mucus or things like that are going on. So just watch those signs. So it could just be that maybe you get seasonal acne in that area when you have more mucus buildup in the area of like your lungs, or when you're sick or anything like that.
So it also could be separated out from like dairy products. I know dairy.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I personally think everybody should stay away from mucus diets, and that would be like your dairy. Your dairy is huge. Eggs, cheese, milk. I mean, it's just huge. And I even say some people are really sensitive to even like yogurts, even Greek yogurts. Some people can be like extremely sensitive. Yeah, they say it has like, our probiotics and things like that in there, but honestly, it's not enough. And it's higher in sugars. I mean, it's an alternative. Like, I'll make an alternative instead of ice cream that I do yogurt or something like that. But you still have that. So you have to still take that into consideration. So that is one aspect internally, but it could also be from chlorine. So it could be like swimming, irritation, things like that, if you get it on your chest a little bit.
That makes sense.
So usually highly chlorinated stuff is usually what causes that on your chest. And that's acne, not the blackheads. Oh. Blackheads are more mucus.
So I wonder if that would probably be the same thing for your back too, then. Probably get those same kind of issues back there if you were a swimmer.
Yeah. So that is for the chest. So let's go over now. I want to go over below the jawline and the neck. So a lot of that is hormonal. I deal with a lot of that, but it also is caused, and you have to watch this because sometimes my clients are like, my hormones are fine. I've never had any issues, blah, 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 blah. And you have to check to see if they have like folliculitis, which is like hair growth in that area. Maybe they're getting clogged in that area as they get older. But also a good thing to look at is plastics. So, if you don't drink things from BPA free,
right,
all the plastics, we are starting to notice that a lot of the acne in the jawline is from people that eat stuff out of a lot of plastic stuff.
Didn't know that. That's very interesting.
So that's why we promote BPA free. And they're everywhere. I mean, my whole dish set, I think I got for super cheap plastic. It looks like plastic stuff, BPA free, that I microwave or do whatever in. So that's something to look at. And then, like I talked about, folliculitis, and that's the hair. Oh, yeah. So you need to check that because a lot of times our hair will curl up and grow in. And so you need to exfoliate that area and even maybe get on like an alpha hydroxy or a beta hydroxy acid to start the slightly of the exfoliation.
Is that drying the skin out a little bit more? Or is
it's just eating the skin out? Oh, so you're like, it's like little Pac-Man, and it go in and it eats the dead skin. Okay. So then that way the hair follicle can go bloop and plop up.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And not get stuck underneath. So another thing too is also maybe not eating organic foods. So like I said, pesticides, like I was talking about, being careful that they're not overly, what is it? Pesticized. I don't know what to say. Overly pesticided. foods to
Right.
eat, trying to really make sure that you're really trying to get as organic as you possibly can. And the reason why I say behind that is because it's a hormone deficiency, just like I talked about, because it messes with your hormones and you're eating meat and you're eating cows that have hormones. And if there's more hormones injected in there, then you're eating more of the hormones in your body or taking those hormones. Like it's a whole life cycle.
Right.
So I know it's over the top, but now this is one that I really, really want to talk about because it's really gross and it's totally on my wavelength. I love it. So I've never dealt with this, but I have clients that deal with it and I see it all the time and they're so fascinated when I say it. But do you ever get blackheads around like your mouth area or rashes or acne? I know a lot. I have clients that constantly break out around the mouth area.
I do not.
Okay. I don't think, I mean, I see your skin for what, 20 years? Nothing. Or not 20 years, what? 13 years? 14.
Yeah.
So what that is it's contributing to your rectum.
Oh.
Your mouth is with your rectum. Do you like that? So the reason behind that is depending if you're constipated or if you have IBS or what's going on in that area below, it's showing in around your mouth. So around your mouth is towards your rectum. So it could be candida. So you can have an overgrowth. So I don't know if you guys look at your bowel movements. I look at my bowel movements every now and then just to check them out to see what it looks like. I think it's super healthy and you should be doing it.
Yeah, what's going on? And
if you feel like you see like a white coating over it, that's a huge sign that you have a candida overgrowth. A lot of people don't notice it. It's just like a little foggy, slimy. And it could be that you have a candida overgrowth. So it could not even be that you're constipated or that you have IBS, and you have diarrhea or whatever else. So a lot of it, be careful with that. Constipation is pretty much what you're doing is you're reabsorbing your toxins. So the reason why you're breaking out is because your body is reabsorbing those toxins. It's not letting them go into the toilet like they should be.
Your body's not flushing them out.
So it gets pushed out into our skin tissues. So that's what happens. Also dermatitis, which I talked about, which was like rashes or irritation. That is a sign that you have irritation from constipation. Now blackheads, that again is from mucus, like I just talked about. So it's dairy. It can also be citric acids, like orange juice that can cause it. So you have to be careful, and tart candies, things like that. Mainly things that are like high insulin levels. Do you know what I mean? Like orange juice, oranges, things like that. Yeah, we think that they're beneficial. They have vitamin C, but then you also have to think it's going to spike your blood sugar level depending on when you have it. I like apples because apples have a lot of fiber. So they like counteract the sugar content. Like there's a whole science behind it. I mean, we should just do a podcast on just food in general one time. So around the mouth is your rectum. Let's do under the nose. So under the nose, not necessarily like around your mouth, but when you get them like right under that nostril line. I don't see a whole lot of people with this because it actually is like an intense bacteria that you have in your gut system. But I do see people that come in with huge veins and vascularity around their nose. And that is a huge sign. So it's not the acne, it's the vascularity and the big veins around your nose. Okay. And that is, so like I said, rosacea or capillaries on the bottom of your nose.
Right.
That is H. pylori, which is a huge bacteria in our gut. And I suggest that people do major cleanses to get rid of the pylori bacteria.
Is a lot of that induced from alcohol? Or could be anything?
No. Well, anything, depending if it has a lot of sugar. You think all of the bacteria it's coming from some sort of like a candida or a sugar, like it's like a bacteria sitting in our gut.
Okay.
So it does, but there's a difference in, so the tip of your nose, and I know all of this shit because I've been doing this for years and I put it together and I was like, oh, this is what's going on. So I've had a client that I've had for probably 7 years in a row, and she has rosacea, but not bad. I've kept it under bay, but the tip of her nose kept getting rosacea. and it kept getting like big whitehead. And I'm like, you're on everything you're supposed to be doing. You're eating what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I'm like, are you drinking? Do you have a sore throat? So the tip of your nose is the back of your throat. Okay. Something in the back of your throat. It could be that you constantly have allergies in the back of your throat. It could be that you drink hard alcohol. It could be, there's numerous of things in the back of your throat that can irritate it, right?
Right.
And she's an older lady. She's like in her 70s. So the last thing you think that she's drinking, right? And so I'm like, what in the world is doing this? Well, maybe like I've been thinking that for like 3 years of seeing her. And then one time she comes in and she goes, okay, that's it. I stopped drinking. And I'm all, you stopped drinking? I didn't know you were drinking. I asked you that question. And she was like, no, I stopped drinking. I would have hard alcohol at night. And she would drink a lot of hard alcohol at night. And I was like, motherfucker, that's what it is. I knew it. And she's never had it since.
Oh,
never. She gets flare-ups because she has rosacea, but she never gets those big ass things on her nose anymore.
She's got to be happy then.
So I'm telling you it works. So that's under the nose. The tip of the nose is the back of the throat.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see. I'm looking down my list of what I want to go into. Esophagus, which is the nose. That is pretty much what I talked about. The rosacea. Oh, also, it's because it's like an acid reflux too. So I tell my clients if they tend to get really bad rosacea in the nose with hard alcohol, switch to wine. If you have to drink, switch to wine because you won't get that. But wine will give you candida because it's high in sugar. So pick your battles, right?
Or don't drink.
Let's see. Enlarged pores. Those are more like we talk about all the time. I've went over it. You think when you have large pores and you have blackheads, it's really an overproduction of mucus. That's pretty much what it is. And it just depends on where the mucus is at in the body. So the same with the blackheads. So let's go over under eyes. So this actually leads me, as I'm taking over and you're not even talking, I'm sorry. I just get really enthralled about it because it's super interesting. The eyes, this is what leads me. Do you ever see people with those big ass puffy under circle eyes?
Oh, yeah.
And you think, what the hell causes that, right?
I always just think they're tired.
Yeah. Well, it could be genetics.
Right.
It could be that they have that fatty tissue in there or whatever else. But a lot of times the puffiness is kidney inflammations. They have kidney issues. So I tell people all the time that have that puffiness, you need to go and get your kidneys checked. It all tells a story. And a lot of times people who are alcoholics, they have the nose and they have the kidney issue. It goes hand in hand. So when you look at somebody's face, you can analyze their face of how healthy they are as an individual. It really tells a sign. So when you see somebody and they have really nice, resilient skin, and you can tell they're really healthy internally.
Right.
So kidney inflammation, like I said, alcohol, also it could be to overuse of drugs, and not drugs like, pot or anything like that, but drugs like medication drugs. Yeah. Dark circles, again, the kidney, it's detoxing the organs. So you could have heavy metals. Many have excess exposure to kidney problems anyway before they get the dark circles. But I have to say that there are people that have dark circles just because their vascularity in their veins are more at the surface. And around our eyes, our neck, and our chest are the thinnest skin possible that we have. Okay. So if you have that hereditary gene in your family and you have the darker circles and you're a really healthy individual, it's probably because your veins are higher up to where it's thinner skin.
Right.
So you're born that way. And most of the time you've had that ever since you were little anyway. So let's go into forehead and sides of faces. Now I see this a lot with adolescent and kids because their diet sucks. They drink soda, they have fast food, quick stuff, microwave things.
Starbucks.
Yeah. And like I said again, it's candida. It all plays a role in the same thing over and over and over that I'm teaching you, but it's candida. So when you are having blackheads, it's caused by mucus. Enlarged pores are caused by mucus, digestion issues. Candida, I guess, is sugar citric acid, like I talked about, they all play a role. Rosacea and capillaries are all, again, by candida, your IBS, the inflammation in your body. But the forehead, the signs of the forehead are your large intestine. So where you have the acne at is triggering to tell you exactly where it is in your body. So your forehead is your large intestine. And that makes sense because most of the kids that are eating that, they're pretty healthy. So all those little parts aren't going to be as aggravated. The large intestine is like the whole flipping, you know what I mean?
The whole thing.
Yeah, the whole shindig. So that is huge. I didn't go over the under eye. Oh, yeah, I did. It's kidneys. The nose is your esophagus, which we talked about. Under the nose is your stomach. Your jawline is your liver. Around your mouth is your rectum.
That's right. The hole's telling the other hole what's going on.
It is. Below jawline is your liver. And again, your chest is your liver. So it's just different parts of your liver. This one I find super interesting because I love it because a lot of people have this too. Is I get clients in and they're like, my eyes are itchy and they're swollen and they're red. And people think it's like an allergy that you're having. It's almost like they get chapped on the top of their eyelid, right? Mm. And I ask them right away, how's your stress level? Well, no, my stress level is fine, blah, blah, blah. And then you come to find out everybody has a stressful life.
Right.
Everybody does. And it just depends on how your body triggers it and what we do. So I always ask, okay, how's your adrenal? How are your adrenal? Do you have adrenal fatigue? Are you overworking your body? It could be huge things. It could be an athlete like me that is just killing their adrenals by working out so much. Or it could be somebody who's a freaking stress ball, who's stressed about, everything in life. And so your eyelids are your adrenals. So a lot of times if you notice like you're getting irritation, and I'm not like saying swelling like because you ate a bunch of sodium. I'm just saying like you're typically swollen every single day.
Right.
It's your adrenals. You need to check your adrenal fatigue and see where you're at. So
good little info there.
That's my podcast today.
Okay.
But I mean, there's not that much research out yet for like your whole body, because I think our face is, it's funny how it works. It's almost like if we have any reaction, it comes into our face. It doesn't really come into our body. I mean, every now and then we might have little rashes on our body, but I think our face gets hit the hardest.
So do you think more of the back acne is just more from sweating or having dead cells back there from not really being able to exfoliate your skin on your back because it's hard to reach, or?
Yes and no. I do think that our back has to do a lot with hormonal.
Okay.
Because if you have it on your back, you probably have it on your face and you probably have it on your chest. And I think that a lot is hormonal, but honestly, you have to look at what type of acne you have and just watch your diet. Because in general, say we don't know exactly what area in the body you're having issues, just switching up what we do know with your face, you can make a huge improvement. So if you're having like, I'm not going to say cystic acne, but say you're having like pustules and acne on your back. Well, you need to probably switch that to, figuring out not so much the mucus, but like the dairy content and things like that.
Well, there's external sugar things too, right? I mean, internally there's the sugar and the dairy. Yeah. And I think externally there's a lot of talk about, laundry detergents or the soap that you're using could be very irritating to your skin.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So if you're having triggers to something, like for instance, I don't know if I talked about my one client that I saw, she was getting really bad acne on her face. She was getting cystic acne, but she was also getting like these really weird, like rashy bumps on her face. And we're doing treatments and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've been doing these treatments for 4 weeks. You should see a difference. I know my products. I know what they're going to do. And it was better, but they're still there. I'm like, there's something. And then I ask her, you don't have it on your chest and back? No, I don't. I'm like, okay. So I sat down and we went over her whole diet of what she's eating. And then it dawned on me. I was like, duh, she's a vegetarian, but she eats super clean. So when I went over her diet in the beginning, I was like, oh, you're eating super clean. Like we're good. Beans, rice, this, that. Well, she's not substituting with any type of B, zinc, nothing in her diet. So she's lacking all of her nutrients. she's lacking her omega, she's lacking the zinc, she's lacking the B vitamins that you miss from heavy meat. And so I was like, oh, you need to go and get this. And so I haven't talked to her. I need to give her a call, but I bet you anything, she's probably seen a difference in her skin.
It'll be interesting to see how that ends up turning out.
So, yeah.
Well, good. It's a lot of info.
That's a lot of info.
It was a lot.
Sometimes I'm smart. I don't realize. Sometimes I'm like, no.
You're like, I really do know some shit, don't I?
I think I know some stuff. And then I start talking and I'm like, wow, I really do know some stuff.
You're my hero.
Sometimes. But anyway.
So hopefully people get some clear skin for summer because, people will be enjoying the hot weather and soon enough be walking around half naked.
Yeah, but, people are going to want their beer and their alcohol during the summer. And unfortunately, it's what it is. But it's like I say, too, to people, it's not that you cannot never have it, but your body is like on overload. So you have to detox the hell out of it. And then detox it to where it's out and then just do stuff in moderation. And you'll notice your body. It's just like you and me. We eat super clean. The minute we go out and we have like a burger, I feel like shit.
Yeah, it shows up the next morning.
I feel horrible. And so it's so funny now that people are like, oh, you want to go get ice cream? And inside it's like, in our brain, I think it's just our brain. We're like, oh my God, that sounds so good. But then logically, I'm like, I'm not going to because I know what I'm going to feel like tomorrow.
Right.
And I don't want to feel like that again because I've done that to myself so many times. And it's the same thing with our body. Our body is trying to tell us, like, you're killing me here.
Right. I don't like it.
I don't like it. So take that on a note. We'll end it because this is long, but peace out.
Yeah, well, thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for turning in this week. I hope you feel more empowered and more inspired to love the skin you're in. As we navigate new society norms and beauty daily, make sure you to always ask yourself, what the fuck is beauty to me? And know that's all that really fucking matters. If you love this content today, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Follow me and get more info on my guests at virago.studio. Yes, I said it, virago.studio. And that's the shit. See you on the next episode, beauties.